Yo, what's up, guys? It's C-Jax back with another video in a different setup here, okay? I'm coming to you guys from a secret lair right now, the dungeon, the C-Jax dungeon, because I saw Dune 2 a couple days ago, and I just want to talk about the movie because I have to say, it was a pretty good movie, okay? It was pretty good, but was it a masterpiece? Was it a 10 out of 10? Was it a life changer, a peak? Generational movie, dude. This film changed my life, bro. It saved me, bro. This movie's an Oscar, No, it wasn't. And that's the biggest issue with this movie. Now, I don't normally talk about non-superhero stuff, so I'm going to cut to the chase and get to this. Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet. Very good character. He's interesting. He's got levels to him. He's got complexity. It's a very, very well done thing what they do. He's not a villain. He's not a hero. He knows information that other people don't. He is a very intriguing character, and I thought he was good. Only problem with the character is the fact that I think that at times Timothée Chalamet doesn't really sell me as that stoic, big-time, authoritative leader. Maybe because of the way that he portrays himself on screen, maybe just the writing, but that's just the way that I personally felt. Then you also have another thing I thought was good in this movie. The cinematography, the visuals, and the soundtrack are honestly incredible in this film, okay? I can't lie. Some scenes weren't even hitting that hard, but because of the music, the Hans Zimmer score, it actually made it seem like it bolstered the tone, it bolstered the amplification, the vibration, the sequence. I don't know what I'm saying, but it bolstered the scene pretty much, you get what I'm saying, just like most great scores do. And quick interruption into the video, just want to say, if you want to follow my letterbox where I post movie reviews, my TikTok, Instagram, whatever, click the link in the description, and thank you guys for watching this video. And then another thing we got to talk about is Josh Brolin, man. He was great in this movie, and seeing him get his revenge on Dave Bautista's character, who was butt cheeks in this movie. We'll get to that in a second, but to see that happen was honestly pretty good. It was a nice little first full circle moment, and I think that Fade Rotha, played by Austin Butler, was another standout in this movie. He was sick, he was psychotic, he had layers to his performance as well, and honestly, he was good to watch. I had a good time watching the character. Now, unfortunately, guys, other than that, and the story, like I said, being very strong for Paul, the visuals, the cinematography, the soundtrack, the score, and on top of that, I think that the third act of the movie is very strong. Let me add that in there. The action is very good in this movie. It's somewhat, if some of it is pretty creative, I have to say, and the way it's shot, it's very, very nice to watch. Like the final fight between Paul and Fade Rotha, the way that it's shot with no music whatsoever, I thought added some stakes to it, even though we all knew that Paul was going to win because they literally had Fade Rotha lose to an undrugged inmate earlier in the movie, so we knew he wasn't beating Paul. But anyways, third act of the movie was very strong, and everything with the story, the characters, Shani, played by Zendaya, everything with her and Timothée Chalamet started to get, more interesting as the movie went along. And so I thought that was very good, how they at least ended the movie off on a pretty interesting and better note than what they started it on, and the movie does get better as it goes along. However, I have to talk about a couple things that made this movie just pretty good instead of a masterpiece, a life changer, a generational talent. This movie is the greatest thing I've ever seen. No. Let's go ahead and talk about why I don't think this movie was a masterpiece. First off, the biggest reason why I don't think this movie lived up to what it could have been is simply the fact that the characters are underdeveloped and underutilized. Paul's mom in this movie has a couple really good scenes. Rebecca Ferguson gives in a good performance, but outside of a couple moments, she ain't that great, y'all. Florence Pugh's character, she don't really do nothing. She's the equivalent of what Zendaya did in the first movie. 5 minutes of screen time, and that's pretty much it. You move on. You also have her father, who's not really a vital role in this movie. You have Dave Bautista's character, who just sits there, complains and groans the whole movie, and beats a couple people up, and has no real depth added to his arc whatsoever. Fade Rotha, even the overrated character himself, supposed to be the villain of this movie, he's a good character, okay, I'll give you that, but is he amazing? Is he great? Absolutely not. He ends off on a conclusion with him dying in a fight that we knew he wasn't going to win. And then before that, there's not many layers of depth or storytelling added to his character. Like the biggest thing I said with this movie, Paul is a good character. He's a great character. But outside of him, who else gets that key amazing story that goes with them? You can't have an amazing masterpiece movie if only one character has a very good story. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work like that. And because of this movie having such a dense plot where they're fitting in so many different aspects and so many different elements, the pacing of this movie simply drags. I fell asleep while watching this movie twice. That is unacceptable. I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League after having a red velvet cake, some waffles, some chicken, ate all that food, and I was able to sit up and watch the entire 4-hour length of that movie and end up with a smile on my face walking out of it because I knew I loved the movie. So it's unacceptable for a 2 hour and 40-minute movie to have me falling asleep like that. There's no reason for that. If Oppenheimer didn't make me do it, it did. But if Oppenheimer didn't make me fall asleep twice, why in the world is this movie making me fall asleep twice? Because it's too dense. There's too many characters. You don't even remember the name of half of the people. There's too many storylines, too many plot threads, and they're not really delivering on it. Similar to Across the Spider-Verse, which is another overhyped movie that's bloated with a bunch of plot lines. Some of the stuff lands, it works, but at the end of the day, there's too much setup for what's next, and there's not enough focus on what is happening inside of this movie. Paul gets a good arc, great. Who else gets a great arc? I don't know, because there's not really that much given to some of the other characters. And you have the pacing, like I mentioned, that's already pretty bad, at least from my estimation. And I also think that certain characters, the ending to their character, Dave Bautista, how are you going to have him groan and moan and complain the whole movie just for him to die out in the last seconds of it? Fade Rotha, how are you going to have him seem like a big bad and then he has one scene where he's barely fighting off a prison guard that's not drugged and then he dies at the end of the movie in a predictable fight? Even though that fight scene was pretty cool, you know, they added no music to it, which I thought added some tension, but still, man. Like, come on, bro. It's not that the movie's bad, because it's a very good movie. It's pretty good. Okay, it's a good movie. But we can't sit here and just ignore the obvious things that should have made this movie better and that should have been in it. They should have lowered the runtime by about 10, 15 minutes and actually developed the other characters, man. And I think that's where the movie simply falls flat. And for me personally, I'm not a big fan of the Star Wars, Game of Thrones-esque style, king, queen, son's heir, all that stuff. It just doesn't appeal to me in a lot of different, pieces of media that I've watched, like a Game of Thrones or like a Star Wars or whatever. It just gets very repetitive. And when you have a movie like this that, again, only focuses on the main character and then doesn't really give anything to anyone else, it's like, why am I watching this? I felt pointless. Like, if I didn't see Dune 2 versus if I did see the movie, it doesn't really change much about my perception of movies or how good I thought the movie was or whatever. It's just kind of there. It's a very good movie that's just there. And that's what this movie comes down to, man. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the movie. I mean, I missed like 20, 25 minutes of it because I was falling asleep. Had a great nap, though. Beautiful nap in that theater. But at the end of the day, it's just a pretty good movie to me. That's all it is. And I think that the expectations really hurt it when you have everyone saying the movie is a 10 out of 10, peak, masterpiece, my life. It's incredible, dude. What do you mean? If you have a problem with this review, you're going to do three things. You're going to cry, you're going to do nothing, and you're going to like it. Because at the end of the day, I saw the movie. This is just what I think. If you love the movie, I'm glad. I'd rather see a bunch of people happy than a bunch of people upset at a movie. But that's just the way I saw it, man. Dune 2 is incredibly overrated. However, it is still a good movie. So I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. Very good film, but just simply didn't live up to that masterpiece peak level standard like a Top Gun Maverick or even, a Parasite or the Snyder Cut or even, movie that's dropped in the last couple years like an Oppenheimer, etc. But at the end of the day, that's just what I thought about the movie. Let me know if you saw Dune 2 and what you thought about it below. And as always, have a phenomenal day, y'all. Peace out.